going to get right to the heart of the matter.
I like that.
And we're going to have a wonderful guest. We are talking to Tara Robinson, not only a thriver, she is the founder of the Black Heart Association. Welcome, Tara.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, before you share your story, and we want to hear your story, I want you to explain the tagline of the Black Heart Association, a conduit
Mhm.
between the Black community and heart health. What does that mean?
That means that we are the bridge. We are the difference between what heart health needs to look like and what it currently doesn't look like for our community. So, what we do is to fill that gap. And we fill that gap by making sure our community is on guard as it relates to the heart health issues and concerns.
I see. And what are some of the gaps?
So some of the gaps is that we're just not aware. Well, I don't want to say that we're not aware. I want to say that the education in which is given is not reaching to the heart of our people. And so, for one, it doesn't look like us. It doesn't represent who we are as a culture. So when Black Heart shows up, we represent all of that. We come with care, we come with love and understanding, and we represent who we serve. And and so when we bring the information, it hits home a little bit harder. It hits the heart a little bit harder, and it makes people move to action. And it's a lot that there is some gaps in the education, as far as connecting the we call it connecting the dots between this, what could be going on, like if you have diabetes or blood pressure, how these things impact the heart, if it's cancer, if it's HIV, how all of this impacts our heart health, because nothing misses the heart, everything flows through it.
Yeah, everything flows to the heart. Now, to your remarkable story. When you were 40, over the course of a single hellish week, you were struck with not one or two, but three heart attacks. Tell us how you got from there to here.
A hellish week is a good way to describe it. It was actually, I would, you know, my symptoms showed up in 2013. So I would say it was a hellish couple of months of just not knowing, and then going to the doctor and being sent home with no conversation about heart health in January of the same year of me having my heart attacks, and then to April 10th, 11th, 12th to experience these heart attacks. We're tested in certain ways in our lives, and how we pass that test is really truly up to us to pass or fail it. And what I experienced on April 10th was
This
bias.
was 2013. This
2013,
was,
April 10th,
mhm.
2013. What I experienced then, the first heart attack, was bias in care that could have cost me my life. The second heart attack on April 11th, which also could have cost me my life, was racism in care. um, Me and the cardiovascular doctor going back and forth on whether I should stay at the hospital or go home, and finally convincing her to keep me because I know my body as a woman. Not thinking I'm advocating for myself in that moment, not even thinking I'm facing racism, because nobody in their right mind really thinks that when they're going through a thing, that this could possibly be racism, especially when you're in crisis. You have no time, you really have no space in your mind to think about that. This is all hindsight. So they kept me, and April 12th at 11 a.m. I was released, just to be going back at 4 o'clock p.m. having a massive heart attack. So how I got here was because of all of that. Had my life not been saved, or had God not chose me to stay on this earth and make death behave, I would not be here today. I die. I end up going into sudden death on the operating table that day, going to heaven. Coming back here to have the doctor, mind you, I never met him. We didn't know each other before the procedure. He comes into ICU and he tells me, God has you in the palm of his hands, Tara, because there's nothing I learned. I just stopped and prayed for you when you passed away on us for those moments. And so it was in that moment I knew I was called to do something, just wasn't quite sure what. And so I began to advocate. I began to volunteer my time at American Heart Association, becoming a national spokesperson for them, but realizing through that journey that there was a gap, that for some reason, even though I am an insured individual, I was a school counselor at that time. I'm a veteran, so I'm always in touch with the healthcare. But even then, I didn't think heart disease could touch me because I was always told I was healthy. I don't have blood pressure, diabetes, cholesterol, I don't have any of those issues even to date. But I do have heart disease. And so I just think that, how did I miss this? How in the world did I think this could not happen to me? And one is because of lack of representation in the space. Two, there's nobody meeting us at our very point of care or need. Nobody's driving the point home like we do here at Black Heart Association. And so just going through that experience with AHA taught me that there's a gap and you need to be the gap filler. So where there was a need, and so
And
that's where we are today.
And the Black Heart Association, we're going to have the URLs, but you tell us if someone wants to find out more about the organization, what's the best way to find out about the Black Heart Association?
So the best way to find out about us is simply to visit our website, www.blackheartassociation.org, or you can pick up the phone and call us at 972-646-0031. We're always available by phone. We get a lot of calls while people are at the hospital and all those things needing help or advice.
And I will say this to our audience. I went to their website. I was just going around looking for black heart disease, and you popped up. I sent Tara an email, and she answered right away. Cold call, but we're now warm talking. Tara, I have everyone talks about our subject matter are the silent killers of Black women, confronting the silent killers. Women's heart attacks and symptoms of a heart attack are often different, atypical, and not the same as what we have always been taught are signs of a heart attack. Can you please explain that?
Yes, for one, we're not involved in research as we need to be, and our bodies don't operate like men. We know that from the beginning of, we know how things are. And so with that being said, our symptoms are all over the place. And
what do you mean all over the place? Describe
all over
that.
the place means that we can go from having absolutely no symptoms to having textbook symptoms of a heart attack. And we hear all what we deem as, oh wow, that's a symptom. Yes, I heard of a lady actually hiccuping, and as she was having hiccups, they got aggressively worse. She was having a heart attack. So, a lot of times women are sent home because the doctor will tell them, oh, that's anxiety, where actually that woman is experiencing a heart attack. So, our fatigue, we always look over that one because we're always tired. We're an exhausted society, right? So fatigue, but extreme fatigue is one we ignore. And so it can be a range of things that can cause us to have a heart attack. But my advice to anyone, any woman, anybody, you know your body better than anybody on this green earth. And so with that being said, that's what you stand on. If you don't feel well, you don't feel well. And it is what it is, and you need to make noise about it when someone is telling you to go home.
And if you think that you're having a cardiovascular episode and you go to the ER or to urgent care, what should you demand?
Okay, so if you think that you're having, I tell every woman this, the first thing you should go in there and say is, I think I'm having a heart attack. It's like when you use that verbiage, it clicks with them. Or I think I'm having a stroke. It just works. It's like a magic pen. I don't know why. You get all the tests. And The second thing I would tell anybody facing the system, because we still get these calls today that they're sending women home or they're sending somebody home just to go to another hospital and find out they're having heart attacks. These are the calls we're getting. So I'm not talking about something old. I'm talking about present time issues. You can tell that hospital, first of all, let us know who that hospital is, because we have no problem putting them on blast, because we don't have time for that. That's a death sentence to many Black women, many Black people. Thirdly, I would say, if somebody's trying to dismiss you, you just simply say to them, I do not agree with that decision. Please document my symptoms and what's in, and put that in my records. You're going to get a different tone from them, because now they understand that you know a little bit about the law and you're using it. And then you can also ask to see a provider that looks like you. Anybody in the hospital, I don't care, because maybe then they'll understand and be able to communicate what you can't say.
I see. So the stats are staggering about heart disease in Black people and Black women. Is it the data that I read, and you probably have more current, is that 1 in 3 Black women will die of heart attack or stroke? Is that figure correct, or is it, I would like to say, is it lower? What is the stat of the fatality rate based on heart attacks, or do you know that? And if you don't, if you can share it.
Well, I don't look at stats for a reason, because where they, I'm always curious about where the information comes from, not to knock anyone, but I have to see it for myself. But I always look at the information we're gathering here at Black Heart, and that's what I go by. And
what do you go by? Tell us what you go by.
I will say what we're seeing is a number of women having high blood pressure, especially what's really odd is the bottom number being higher than the top number, which we know that's very concerning. What we're seeing is that we do a test called lipoprotein A, where research is showing that 1 in 5 women have lipoprotein, they're at risk for having genetic issues with their hearts. And so we're seeing, where they saying 1 in 5, we're seeing 1 in 2 Black people across the board. So what I would say are we in danger? Yes. Do we need to be aware? Yes. And when we talk about heart attack, we talk about women with preeclampsia. When I talk heart disease, I'm talking about the whole spectrum at Black Heart. And so can we turn the tide? Yes. But we have to know where we stand, and we can't be afraid of that answer. And it starts there.
That is so important. No fear. This seems like a good place to bring in another phenomenal striver, Roxanne Watson of New York, who was near death from lingering heart disease after years of illness and months in the hospital and a long wait for a heart transplant. She finally got the gift of life. Let's turn the screen to Roxanne, to this video that tells us more.
I'm Roxanne Watson. I received a heart transplant 2 years ago, and I am 58 years old. I have congestive heart failure, and I have heart history in my family. All the women in my family had heart failure.
At 56, Roxanne learned that her heart was failing and that she needed a heart transplant.
That was shocking. I was just like, that never ever occurred to me at all. I was in the hospital 104 days. 78 days waiting for the heart.
Roxanne remembers the day she received the gift of life.
I hear a nurse, Mary. It's Mary, wake up, I'm your nurse. You have a new heart. That's the first thing I heard. And then just as she said that, I felt a pulse in my neck. And I could literally feel the heart beating in my neck. Yeah, it was amazing. It really was. I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that. That's my son Kellen. He's 30 years old and he volunteers with me, and we've signed up over 1,500 people together.
Roxanne knows that many more donors are needed, including those over the age of 50.
When I talk to people over 50 about signing up, first of all, I tell them that I'm over 50, and hopefully they don't believe me. The first thing they say is, my organs are too old.
You're never too old to register as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. In fact, the oldest donor in the United States was 92. Just one organ donor can save up to 8 lives and improve the lives of up to 50 more through eye and tissue donation.
Do people know this?
That's why I'm here. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is. My goal is to be the biggest advocate, obviously, for the cause of organ donation, but also to sign up the most people in the United States of America. That's my goal.
Today, Roxanne has her health back, Kellen has his mom back, and the world has 2 committed donation advocates.
I'm definitely an organ donor, definitely.
I'm an organ donor too.
As an organ, eye, and tissue donor, you can share the gift of life, sight, and restored health. Start at organdonor.gov to sign up in your state donor registry and to learn more about living and deceased donation.
Tara, that story, Roxanne's story, I see some through lines, or actually lifelines. Both of you had a near-death health crisis that transformed you into activists. Can you close our conversation with a call to action to the Black women who are watching, who need to confront the silent killers in their lives?
Dear Black women, here's my personal love letter to you. We need you here. We need you here well. We give birth to a nation. Nobody does it better than us. But at the same time, we need balance in our life. Peace, prosperity is ours, but we have to manage our stressors. We have to know our triggers, and we have to learn how to take time to breathe and think about us first. That saying, pouring from an empty cup, is real. We can no longer afford to do that. Our lives are on the line. We're the most valuable person here on this earth. I believe that wholeheartedly. And I stand with you guys in truth, in health, and in love. Make time out of yourself in a 24-hour day. All you need is an hour for you.
Thank you so much. And continue to do that good work. And at Unerased Black Women Speak, we are there in your corner and there to support you.
Thank you.